Good evening and welcome to our council meeting for April 9th, 2024. Council, you see before you, there's a proclamation on my desk, indicate as well, and you see an agenda for today's meeting. So I thank you for attending, but it's time to get down to business and I'll accept a motion. Moved by Councillor Rice, seconded by Councillor Randall, that we approve the agenda. All in favor? And those opposed? And that motion is carried. Thank you very much. We'll read the land acknowledgement. We begin today's public council meeting by respectfully acknowledging the province of Newfoundland and Labrador as the ancestral homelands of many diverse populations of Indigenous peoples, including the Biotech, who have contributed to 9,000 years of history on the island of Newfoundland. Today, this province is home to diverse populations of Indigenous and other people. We acknowledge, with respect, the diverse histories and cultures of the Mi'kmaq, Innu, and Inuit. We honor this beautiful land, and we together we strive for collective healing and true reconciliation. Meeting minutes are there, folks, for March 19th, the previous meeting 3 weeks ago. Please review for errors or omissions. Okay. Hearing none, I'll accept a motion and moved by Councillor Lane. Thank you. Second by Councillor Fry that we adopt the minutes. All in favor? Those opposed? And that motion is carried as well. Any business arising? Hearing none, we'll move on to the next section of the agenda. Mr. Corcoran, your timing is perfect. Now, I don't know, is it in the kit? No, it's not. All right. I'm pleased to welcome Colin Corcoran, who is with the Community Sector Council, and the proclamation for this week, Council, for the week of April 14th to the 20th is Volunteer Week. And Colin, if you'd like to come up and join me while I read, and then maybe we'll get you to say a few things. Good to see you, by the way. Yeah. Thanks for coming. Whereas the city of Mount Pearl recognizes the enormous contribution that volunteers and community organizations make to the social, cultural, and economic development of our province. And whereas it has been recognized that volunteers in Newfoundland and Labrador have a significant and positive impact on the quality of life of our citizens. And whereas the city of Mount Pearl acknowledges the theme, every moment matters, for Volunteer Week 2024, and we recognize the many people who contribute to our town, or in this case, our city, by volunteering. Therefore, we sign this proclamation and declare the period from the 14th of April to the 20th of April in this year, 2024, and may be observed as Volunteer Week here in the city of Mount Pearl. And I date that on behalf of council and sign it. And again, it's my pleasure to welcome you, Colin. You've been in your role now at the Community Sector Council for
it was like 11 years.
2 years now.
About a year.
Take, right? Yeah. Would you like to speak to our proclamation before I open the floor to my colleagues?
Good afternoon, Mayor Aker, councillors, staff, friends, and most importantly, volunteers. It is humbling to be here today to proclaim April 14th to 20th as National Volunteer Week in the city of Mount Pearl. This year's theme is Every Moment Matters, a simple yet profound reflection on the value that each and every single volunteer provides with each and every single hour that they give freely. For volunteers, these moments matter, and they are to be celebrated. And I know these moments matter to each and every single one of you here in the room today. Be it Mayor Aker, going to door, volunteering, collecting donations on behalf of a food bank. Your own Deputy Mayor Kiley, leading sector organizations like the Newfoundland Labrador Sexual Assault Crisis and Prevention Center. Councillor Fry, completing humanitarian trips to Latin America, and so on and so on. And going through your bios, I could be here for the rest of the evening, going through decades of volunteerism for this council and for the staff that is on this council. And so you understand why every moment matters. It mattered for me serving on a town council in Riverhead as a volunteer. My hometown is where I became a lifelong volunteer. even before I knew what the word volunteer actually meant. And collectively, all of those moments, all of our moments, create a groundswell of change, impact, and care. Our province has a 46% rate of volunteerism, with an average of 161 hours per year. That's the highest in the country. This translates to roughly 33 million hours of volunteering. Someone once asked me what would happen if volunteers disappeared tomorrow. Simply put, we would need to hire over 16,000 people just to replace the value that volunteers provide to our society. I look forward to the moments where we continue to create together for the betterment of the city, our province, and our corner of the world. And I encourage you all to stay engaged. I encourage you all to take a moment over the next few weeks. Just pick a volunteer, any volunteer. Thank them for their time, because at the end of the day, they really, really matter. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Colin, very much. Anybody who would like to comment? Councillor Lane.
Thank you, Colin, for being here. And this proclamation is one that's particularly important, especially to our community, because in Mount Pearl, what makes it such a great place to live is the volunteers. It's what makes it a great place to raise a family, to go to functions, and really bind us together as a community. So commemorating our volunteers is so important. I personally love volunteering. I mean, I think anyone feels good after they spend time helping with any organization. And I encourage more people to get out there and volunteer, because we're lucky that there's so many people who are volunteering. And I hope that in the future that doesn't start to die down, because it's so important. And I think that's somewhat kept alive with the schools having the requirement for volunteer hours, because I know a lot of students that I've taught, like they started out rolling their eyes, oh, I don't want to volunteer. But then they start volunteering and they realize how much they love it. And then they continue on for years with these organizations. So it's a great way to, get them in the door. And at first, it may not be something that they want to do, but once they start, they realize the value that it truly has. So happy Volunteer Week.
Happy Volunteer Week to you as well.
Thank you, Councillor Antle.
Worship, yeah, thank you for coming in, Colin. I think we are all the same thing. Volunteers are so important. For me personally, I would not be here only for my volunteer status. I've been volunteering. I think we all have been volunteering sometime, somewhere in Mount Pearl, most of our lives. I think I started off volunteering when I was 15. And right now, all my friends are volunteers. We go to coffee in the mornings, and each one of them met through volunteering. It's not so much how much we get paid. We don't want to get paid. We enjoy the volunteering. It makes us friendship. Mount Pearl, like all the functions we go to and all the volunteers we see, they're not doing it because it's money. They're doing it because it's fun. It's to do things to make Mount Pearl better, right? And right now, I see most of the councillors here, and I know we all volunteer. And it's a way of life. It's a fun way of life. I think we all enjoy it. So thank you very much for coming.
Councillor Rice, please.
Thank you, Worship, and thank you, Colin, for coming in. And I have to agree with my colleagues. I mean, volunteering is so important to the city of Mount Pearl. But I speak to community groups and community leaders in the city, and we're finding it harder to get volunteers. I know, because some organizations are volunteer based just to survive. So I'm going to put you on the spot now, and I'm going to say, what would you recommend we could do to, I guess, get more volunteers involved in organizations, or what could we do to get them out in the communities, or to help out in the community?
How long do you have? So simply put, it starts with conversations exactly like this. It starts with the simple recognition of the volunteers that are there. With our aging demographic, with the rate of volunteerism that we have here in this province, we have a lot of volunteers who are senior, and they are moving on. During the pandemic, we saw a noticeable decrease in volunteer engagement through various reports, and we're now waiting for what the effect of that might be in a post-pandemic world. So when you're thinking about volunteers as a labor force, when you think about it that way, with that many exiting labor force, where's the next logical step to go? And that's people who are entering it. So young people, if you can inspire a young person, if you can get them passionate about the work that they do and work that they can do, you're going to seed the next generation of volunteers. And a number of us in the room, we started our volunteerism journey when we were young, when we were 15, when we were 5, when we started getting to engaged. And so it's really important as you continue on into your constituencies and as you're engaging with the public, is finding that young person that might be tagging along, just ready to try and start to see what this is all about and make it a positive experience for them. And so with that, between seniors aging out and new volunteers coming in, celebrating them and opening the doors to diversity of people of cultures and communities coming in, we can reseed the labor force of volunteers here and continue to support organizations like that. It's a competitive market, but at the end of the day, when you speak with passion and purpose, you'll get to people. If you need any help around volunteer engagement, we do training and programs as well, so feel free to engage.
With discussion, Councillor Fry.
Thank you. I mean, everything's already been said, but I just cannot let this go by without bragging about our wonderful volunteers here in Mount Pearl. Do you know when we have the Frosty Festival, there are over 500 volunteers. And I mean, our city is not that big. We have the best volunteers and our Lions Club and our Kinsmen and our Kinettes Club. They're amazing, the work that they do. And I know we certainly appreciate it and we can't do it without them. So I just had to take this opportunity to give them a shout out and thank you for coming in and making this possible because you're right. And we were at a function last night for the Lions Club and they just recently installed 3 new members and one of them was our Youth of the Year a couple of years ago. So talk about young people getting involved, right? They're fabulous and we have the best here in Mount Pearl, just saying. Thank you.
Councillor Locke.
I'll sum up because all my council colleagues have said it so eloquently. I just noticed like 33 million hours, volunteer hours, but when you stated that number, it's still phenomenal. But I think back probably 10 years ago, I think the number was around 36 million. Someone had come in and said that, you know, showing that while it's still a huge amount. And I think Councillor Lane spoke to it in the school system. The importance for younger folk to get them into volunteers is they need role models to do that. So yes, we're trying to appeal to the youth, but we'll also appeal to the parents to try to nudge them along. And like Councillor Lane said, once they experience the intrinsic value of helping someone else, or I used to tell my students in the classroom that we have to start to think outside of ourselves. That's what built the city of Mount Pearl. It was the residents who thought outside themselves, from, you know, raking ball fields and putting in soccer pitches and through the lines, organizing parades and Easter egg hunts and all that sort of stuff. It was done by people who did it not for themselves, but for the sense of community. So I think role models are key, but also your presence here today is important because it brings attention to the value and just to think what our community would be like without volunteers. You know, so I commend you for the work you do, and I thank you for coming in here today. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Good discussion. Colin, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
It's all about, you think about volunteering as working together as a team in so many different roles. But for example, next week we have 2 volunteer appreciation evenings. And so you're doing your thing at the provincial level, and we're trying to do our thing at the city level. And we had the Frosty Festival Volunteer Appreciation Night only a couple weeks ago. So many of our organizations support all this. And to Councillor Fry's point, yeah, we're seeing a few more younger people now starting to get involved because the same people can't continue to carry the load all the time. So it's promising to see more people getting involved. It means that volunteerism is alive and well. But I think to your point, you can't take it for granted. And if you don't celebrate it and work with people and encourage it, too bad we couldn't reward them more. But you know something? Most volunteers don't do it for any reward or any recognition. They do it because they volunteer, right? So shall we get a snap? And we'll help to promote Volunteer Week here at the City of Mount Pearl. Okay. Now, Thank you. You're welcome to stay to the end of the meeting if you like, or you can. You're busy volunteering at something, I'm sure. Yeah. There you go. Wow. Yeah. Take care. Thank you. All right, that was nice. Very important proclamation. Corporate Services and Public Works Committee, Councillor Rice, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. We have a lot of items on our agenda there tonight. So our first one is our invoices for approval. As you can see in our kit, we have quite a number there tonight, and just want to highlight a couple there. Our part of our regional services, our water consumption, and also our transit system invoices there for the month of February for our water consumption, and we have a paratransport from bus trips from February and October and December as well. So I just want to highlight some of them for the group. So we have down to the bottom here now. So the committee recommends that the following invoices be approved for payment, totaling $756,048.30, and I so move.
Moved by Councillor Rice and second by Councillor Lane. Thank you. Council, any questions before we call the question? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Contrary-minded and carried. Back to you.
Thank you, Your Worship. And number 2 is our payment register. For the information of council and the following payment register for totaling from March the 14th till April the 3rd, 2024, totaling $1,885,915.36 for information purposes there only. Any questions on
Any
those?
questions, Council?
All good. Number 3 is our request for professional development for Councillor Locke. Municipalities Newfoundland Labrador Symposium, which runs from May the 2nd till May the 4th, 2024 in Gander. So recommendation to the support, further to the support of the Committee of the Whole at their meeting of March the 19th, 2024. It is recommended that the request by Councillor Jim Locke to attend the MNL Symposium in Gander from May the 2nd to the 4th, 2024 be approved, and I so move.
Again, moved by Councillor Rice. Thank you. Second by Councillor Lane. All in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Thank you. Number 4 is our request for professional development for travel for Councillor Isabel Fry to attend the Atlantic Mayors Congress, Prince Edward Island, on June the 22nd, 2024. Recommendation further to the support of the Committee of the Whole at their meeting of March the 26th, 2024, it is recommended that request by Councillor Isabel Fry to attend the Atlantic Mayors Congress in Prince Edward Island on June the 22nd, 2024, to represent the mayor who is unable to attend be approved. I so move.
It is moved by Councillor Rice, second by Councillor Lane. Just a clarification, this is travel request. It's not a professional development. It's attending meetings on behalf of the city. So with the consent of council, not that I want to modify the motion, I just want to clarify that at the end of the day, it is travel on behalf of the city. Fair enough. All right, I'll call the question. All in favor? Those opposed? Thank you. Carried.
Thank you. Number 5 is our energy efficient grant program recommendation for Madrid Industries Limited, located at 78 Clyde Avenue. So the background on this one, the city has received its first application for energy efficient grant program. Applicants who meet the criteria can receive up to 50% of total project cost, up to a maximum of $5,000. The Judging and Selection Committee has reviewed, scored, and evaluated the application based on the project criteria and the submission criteria. The application is for $5,000 grant to contribute towards a project to upgrade the current inefficient heating cooling system with a new system. And this project meeting the criteria outlined in the program guidelines. Therefore, the Department of Corporate Services recommends approval of a grant in the amount of $5,000. The committee supports the department's recommendation, and the Committee of the Whole also supports the recommendation for the meeting of March the 19th, 2024. So recommendation from Corporate Services and Public Works Committee recommends approval of a $5,000 city efficiency grant to Madrid Industries Limited to contribute towards the cost of their installation of a more efficient heating and cooling system for their business at 78 Clyde Avenue, and I so move.
Moved by Councillor Rice again and seconded by Councillor Lane. Councillor Locke has a question.
Thank you, Mayor. Not a question, actually, just a comment. I'm delighted. This is the first application, as Councillor Rice indicated. I'm so proud of this program because requested of Director Pittman last week an update on our energy consumption here. Some years back at the City of Mount Pearl, we did an energy audit, if we will, of the carbon footprint of our city. And I know we had some targets set for 2025, so I'm going to, move that through committee to see. But, I was speaking with someone recently from outside of Mount Pearl, and we were talking about climate change and climate initiatives. And I mentioned some of the things that the City of Mount Pearl has been doing for my entire time on council. And they were astonished at the small city of Mount Pearl was doing so much from an environmental perspective. So this is just, a grant program. $5,000 is not a huge amount of money, but it's again, modeling the behavior and the concern that we have for climate change in the city. Upcoming, one of my council colleagues will bring in a new, electric panel van, a new electric vehicle to add to, we already have one EV, and then there's going to be another motion here to bring in some hybrid. So over time, Mount Pearl has adopted, we've always adopted from the Eco Chill at the glacier that captures heat and heats our pool. And I spoke to this in this chamber, I think last year, I think we didn't pay any electrical bills until sometime in November. So we were recapturing all this heat. So I'm delighted. And we got an upcoming, recommendation on our urban forestry plan, phase 3. So I just think this is wonderful. And I just wanted to highlight the fact I'm so proud of my council colleagues around the table, and certainly our senior management, because we're all rowing in the same direction, that we understand that climate change is real. We don't have to look far beyond the borders of our province to see that, but that we are doing our part. We are modeling as community leaders and as a city to encourage our residents to also take some action, think globally and act locally. And that's what the City of Mount Pearl is doing. So I fully support this motion and this recommendation. Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. I'll call the question. All in favor? And those opposed? And it's carried. Back to you.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yes, and just want to add to what Councillor Locke has mentioned. I mean, he's absolutely right. The city is offering grants, which is good to see, incentives for businesses to take part of, but is also so important for the green part of the city. So it's great information there, Councillor Locke. Thank you. Next part, I want to just pass over to my colleague, Councillor Lane, for the remainder of our report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Rice. And on the topic of eco-friendly, I'll be bringing in the next recommendation, which is the electrical panel van, TP 24006. The tender for one electric vehicle panel van, TP 24006, which includes the supply and delivery of one electric vehicle, two-wheel drive, regular wheelbase panel van, was issued on January 26th, 2024. The tender closed on February 15th, 2024, and 2 bids were received. The lowest qualified bidder was Avalon Ford Sales for the bid amount of $89,375.70, HST included. The Department of Public Works recommended that the contract be awarded to Avalon Ford Sales. The committee supported the recommendation, and the committee supported the department's recommendation. And the Committee of the Whole also supported the recommendation at their meeting on March 19th, 2024. The Corporate Services and Public Works Committee recommends approval for the contract supply and delivery of one electric vehicle, two-wheel drive, regular wheelbase panel van, TP 24006, to be awarded to the lowest qualified bidder, Avalon Ford Sales, for the bid amount of $89,375.70, HST included, which is within the fleet plan budget. And I so move.
Moved by Councillor Lane, second by Councillor Rice. Looking around. Any questions, folks? I have a question for Director Dallemont. Buying these vehicles, it means a different form of maintenance and energizing, not going to the gas station. So this vehicle will be located at the depot. I believe it's our first one up there. So how are we navigating towards when this gets delivered and keeping the vehicle charged so we can be productive in our operations?
So thank you. That's a great question. Just to add to that, as part of this contract recommendation, it's not in the details, but the tender also requested a charging system to be provided under this TP request. To your question on the electrical part of it, we also have a fully electric Chevy Bolt that we purchased in 2020. So two of those will be housed at the depot. So once we receive the piece of equipment, we'll install that charging system under our current contractor to charge both vehicles. And interestingly enough, based on, there is a slight difference in cost for the electric over the gas model. We done a cost analysis of the van that this one will be replacing. And within based on the number of kilometers that's used per year and the fuel consumption, there is a savings, in about year 4 from that onwards, it'll be a cost savings, besides the no carbon footprint. As for the maintenance side of it, the maintenance of it is very similar to a gas model where it has brakes and tires and tie rod ends and ball joints and stuff like that. But there's no oil changes and stuff like that, of course.
Thank you very much. Welcome to the future. Any other questions or comments? I'll call the question. All in favor? Those opposed? All right, charge her up and get her going. Thanks.
Okay, next on our agenda is the contract recommendation for a hybrid midsize SUV, TP 24-007. The tender for one hybrid midsize SUV, TP 24-007, which includes the supply and delivery of one hybrid engine 4-wheel drive midsize SUV, was issued on January 26, 2024. The tender closed on February 20th, 2024, and one bid was received from a qualified bidder, Cabot Ford Lincoln Sales Limited, for the bid amount of $92,212.39, HST included. The Department of Public Works recommended that the contract be awarded to Cabot Ford Lincoln Sales Limited. The committee supported the recommendation of the department, and the committee of the whole also supported the recommendation at their meeting of March 19th, 2024. The Corporate Services and Public Works Department recommends approval for the contract for the supply and delivery of one hybrid engine 4-wheel drive midsize SUV, TP 24-007, to be awarded to the lowest qualified bidder, Cabot Ford Lincoln Sales Limited, for the bid amount of $92,212.39, HST included, which is within the budget. And I so move.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Lane, second by Councillor Rice. Comments, council? I'll call the question. All in favor? Contrary-minded, and that's carried as well. Back to you.
Okay, next we have the contract recommendation for 3 full-size pickups, TP 24-008. The committee was advised that the tender for the supply and delivery of one 4-wheel drive full-size pickup truck and 2 4-wheel drive full-size pickup trucks with aero boards, TP 24-008, was issued on January 30th, 2024, and closed on February 21st, 2024, and 2 bids were received. The lowest qualified bidders and bid amounts, including HST, were as follows. For one full-size pickup truck, Avalon Ford Sales at $60,130.05. For 2 full-size pickup truck with aero boards, Cabot Ford Lincoln Sales Limited, $131,308.01. The Department of Public Works recommended that the contract be awarded to the lowest qualified bidders for the 2 types of equipment. For one full-size pickup truck, Avalon Ford Sales, and for 2 full-size pickup truck with aero boards, Cabot Ford Lincoln Sales Limited. The committee supported the department recommendations, and the committee of the whole also supported the recommendation at their meeting on March 19th, 2024. The Corporate Services and Public Works Department recommends approval for the contract for the supply and delivery of one 4-wheel drive full-size pickup truck and 2 4-wheel drive full-size pickup trucks with aero boards, TP 24-008, to be awarded to the lowest qualified bidders for the 2 types of equipment, with HST included as follows. One full-size pickup truck, Avalon Ford Sales, $60,130.05. And for 2 full-size pickup trucks with aero boards, Cabot Ford Lincoln Sales, $131,308.01 for the total amount of $191,438.06, including HST, which is within the fleet plan budget, and I so move.
Again, moved by Counselor Lane. Thank you. Second by Counselor Rice. Any questions? Counselor Locke.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to build on what Director Dollemon said here, I mean, you look at the costs here of these, fuel trucks. Some people say, well, they cost less, but I just want to take a moment to, because I've had this conversation with residents on several occasions, that when council considers the cost of something, a program or a grant program or a vehicle or a piece of equipment, we look at three types of costs. It's not just the economic cost, because traditionally that was the focus. Decisions were made 30, 40, 20 years ago based solely on a unidimensional cost consideration. But we look at the economic cost, the social cost, and the environmental cost. So we go through three cost lenses in our decision-making process. And sometimes financially it may cost more, but it may be a savings cost socially or environmentally. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Again, just to let folks know that, we don't blindly spend money, and there's a lot of consideration that goes into this. And we all know the discussion now around carbon pricing and all this sort of stuff, and the debate worldwide around it, that, people say they can't afford it financially, but then others will say, well, can we afford it environmentally? Because you can cost save now financially, but then you're going to have to pay the environmental debt, in the future. So that's the whole course of the debate. So I just wanted to highlight that here, that on the surface, it may appear that we should be purchasing all fuel vehicles because they're cheaper, they cost less. But as I said, we have an environmental lens here in the city of Mount Pearl. So we weigh the three types of costs that we look at, and that goes into our decision-making process. So again, I support this recommendation. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. No other hands up. I'll call the question. All in favor? Motion, anybody opposed? Motion carried. Keep on trucking.
The last item on our agenda this evening is the Public Works Status Report. So under roads, winter shift for staff will end on April 12th, 2024. The road supervisors are scheduled 24/7 until the end of April. As of April 3rd, 2024, all outdoor rinks are closed for the remainder of this season. Under parks, preparation for the upcoming 2024 summer season is underway. For fleet, motor vehicle inspections on all heavy-duty trucks are underway, and service and maintenance for the summer equipment, such as farm tractors, lawn mowers, street sweepers, vacuum trucks, etc., has started. UTM, general calls for plugged sewers, service locates, new water and sewer service inspections, camera inspections, troubleshooting, water and sewer repairs, lift station inspections and maintenance, and water levels at Babel's Big Pond as of April 2nd, 2024 are below. And things are still doing quite well there as well. That's it for our report this evening. Thank you very much.
Well delivered. Public Works has been very, very busy buying vehicles, making plans. Director, I'm assuming hopefully we're not getting any more snow. Not asking you for a prediction, but would you care to comment? One of the things we're very well known for here in the city is our bulk garbage collection. When does it start?
So again, a great question. Bulk garbage this year, we actually changed the schedule last over the winter because we had some concerns from residents with more areas where Mount Pearl get a significant amount of snow. No different this winter, that we actually moved the schedule a little bit further ahead to accommodate that request. And this year we start at the last week of May for 5 weeks thereafter.
Well, we look forward to that. Everybody's going to be in spring cleaning now that the winter is over. And I would caution residents, I'm sure you would all agree, that don't put your stuff out until Sunday night. Don't go leaving it out the week before that weekend. It's problematic, especially if we did get a surprise snowstorm and had to clean up. And it really is a bit unsightly, in the neighborhood. Okay, thank you for that. Recreation and Community Safety Report, Councillor Fry.
Thank you, Your Worship. It's so nice to hear that winter is going and summer is coming. On our agenda this evening is just a couple of items. We have our Mount Pearl Marlin Swim Meet is taking place this coming weekend. So of course that means that there's going to be some cancellations. So the Mount Pearl Marlin Swim Club will hold a swim meet on April the 12th, 13th, and 14th at the Summit Pool. And the swim meet will involve cancellations of city programming and recreation swims as follows. So on Friday, April the 12th, from 7 o'clock to 7:50 p.m., the family swim, and 8 o'clock to 8:50 p.m., the public swim. And there will be no swimming lesson scheduled for that Friday as well. On Saturday, April the 13th, from 9:30 to 10:30, which is a lane swim, and from 10:45 to 11:30, which is a family swim. Also from 3:30 to 4:30, the sensory swim, and 5 o'clock to 5:50, the public swim. And again, swimming lessons will go ahead on Saturday, April the 13th. Oh, they will go ahead on Saturday, April 13th, sorry. On Sunday, April 14th, from 7 a.m. to 9:20 a.m., the lane swim, and the 10:45 and 11:30 a.m. family swim will be canceled, and the swimming lessons will go ahead on Sunday, April 14th. So these cancellations will be posted on the city's website and at the facility, as well as shared on social media. Next on our agenda, we have our Green Mount Pearl rebranding. So we're rebranding what we've had in previous years as a 20-minute makeover. So stay tuned for the revitalization of this upcoming 20-minute makeover campaign. For 2024, we'll highlight a broader Green Mount Pearl with the addition of some internal programs, staff, and outside groups to help residents and families grow greener lifestyles in our city through food security and gardening, composting, reusing, and recycling, etc. And all details will be posted on the city website and shared on social media once finalized. And I just want to make sure that people are aware that this does not replace our 20-minute makeover. It enhances it. It's just a rebranding. So we're still looking for all businesses and residents and volunteers to come out and help us keep our city clean. Also, our winter parking ban was lifted, effective midnight, March 31st. However, I just want to remind people that in the event of a storm, the ban will come in effect for the duration of the storm and for 12 hours thereafter to allow our crews time to clean. But that's not going to happen anymore this winter. And on that note, I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Councillor Locke.
Thank you, Councillor Fry. The fourth item for us, Mayor, has to do with just a notice to our motorists, our cyclists, and our pedestrians who travel our city streets and crosswalks intersections, just to be alert. You know, these are shared spaces. So the roads are shared. Yes, the vehicles travel them, but drivers need to be alert to pedestrians. Drivers need to be alert to bike riders, but at the same time, pedestrians and bike riders need to be alert to the vehicles on the road. Be cautious of crosswalks and intersections, especially in springtime. More people are on the move. And just to throw it out there as well to our pedestrians, because anecdotally, I've seen this more and more so with the earbuds and the cell phones, that sometimes pedestrians are crossing our crosswalks without an awareness of what's going on around them. They're staring at their cell phones and they're just assuming that they have the right of way and all vehicles are going to stop. But it could very well be that sometimes, you know, they're not seen by a vehicle. So again, just precautionary to, you know, be aware of your surroundings, especially if you're on foot, because we all know if there's a battle between a 2,000-pound vehicle and a 150-pound human being, we know who's going to be the victor in that particular case. So we welcome springtime, but we certainly want people to be safe. To follow on what Councillor Fry said, I'm delighted to announce that our snowshoeing and cross-country ski rental program is closed for the season because we deem it totally unnecessary to keep this open, given now that we'll be looking at daffodils and lupins and all this sort of stuff. So it was a great success again. Again, great positive feedback, you know, the uptake of that. And another program that the city has to encourage active living, healthy lifestyle in the city of Mount Pearl. So that's a great program. We'll certainly bring it back next year. Our sixth item has to do with the annual event, the Canadian Home Builders Association Home Show. I look forward to this every year because spring is not only a time of cleanup, but it's also construction and building patios and fences and gazebos and all this sort of stuff. So from April 12th to the 14th of this year, it'll be taking place at the Glacier Arena. This is going to be the 38th year of the home show. And it's going to showcase residential construction projects and services to the general public. And it'll be a one-stop shop location. So I encourage all people to get your tickets, get out. You won't be disappointed at the Glacier at that time. And then the 7th one and last one for our committee deals with hockey. I'm super excited about this. The Mount Pearl Junior Blades are going to be hosting the Don Johnson Memorial Cup from April 23rd to the 28th at the Mount Pearl Glacier. And the city, we're pleased to be partnering with the Junior Blades for the Junior B Hockey Championships. And this is going to be an exciting time in our city because you're going to see teams come to Mount Pearl from all across the Atlantic provinces to play at the Glacier. And we wish all the best to our Mount Pearl Blades junior hockey team. And that's it for our committee, Mayor. I thank you.
Thank you to the committee, and over now to Planning, Engineering, Development. Councillor Antle, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Only a couple of things on our committee, the agenda tonight. I'll be nice and quick. And the first one is regarding our building and occupancy permit listing for February 26th to March the 8th. The Planning, Engineering and Development Committee recommends that the residential and commercial building permits issued for this period show a total construction of $598,800 to be approved, and further the occupancy permit listed below be accepted. And the first one is building permits and occupancy listings for residential for a total of $45,100. A nice sum move. Second.
You've moved the
Residential.
2 building constructions.
I haven't got the commercial yet, Your Worship.
Building residential, you moved the 45,000 and the occupancy permits?
No, and the next one would be commercial.
Are you moving all 3?
Yes, I am.
Thank you very much. Councillor Antle, seconded by Councillor Rice, has moved the occupancy permits and the building construction permits, residential and commercial. All in favor? Those opposed? Thank you. Motion carried. Sorry about that.
No problem. And the second one for us is the capital projects update. The following have been issued or issued for the 2024 construction season. And the first one is for a tender for asphalt crack sealing, and that closed on March 22nd. There's a standing offer for material testing and inspection services, and that closed March 26th, 2024. The tender for asphalt and concrete repairs, that will be closing April 2024. Our request for proposal for engineering service for the design of Holden Street and upgrading, that will close in April 2024. There's a request for proposal for engineering service for the design of Jackman Drive upgrading and public consultation. That's ongoing, and that will complete at April 2024. There's a tender out there for wide boulevard storage lift station upgrades for the fall of 2024. And I'm quite excited. There's one coming for an RFP for our water storage tank. And that will be for the fall of 2024. And this storage tank is something that we dearly need for our progress up on top of Topsail Wide Boulevard in that area. And now construction season has started again, or will resume very shortly. Farrell Drive, Nash Crescent to Holden Street has started as the week of April 1st. Birch Avenue and Spruce Avenue, just to recap, has started again week of April 1st, or down to right now. Carroll Drive will be starting shortly, and Olympic Drive. And that's everything for our committee, Your Worship.
Well done. Good updates and lots of work as usual here at the city. Some of the things people don't see is all the planning that goes into, whether it's vehicle purchases or work related to crack sealing and the like, right? We're always, you see these meetings, but the work that got us to this point, has been tremendous. And I'd say to the CAO and to all you staff, thanks for all you do. And you make the city look good, because I think the city is very well run. And thank you to a supportive council too, to make sure we all stay on the same path. So we'll finish our council meeting today with a roundtable. So some quick snappers, and I think we're going to start tonight with Councillor Fry.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a couple of things for me. We have the Mount Pearl Minor Hockey is going to host the provincial hockey tournaments Oh, no, sorry, they have hosted the provincial hockey tournaments. And this was from April the 1st to the 3rd, which was the under 13 tournament with 6 teams from across the province. And from April the 4th to the 6th, and that was the under 11 mega tournaments with 16 teams participating from all over the province of Newfoundland and Labrador. There were 2 teams from Labrador. So congratulations to all participants. But I also want to take that a little bit further as well, because we were a number of us were there to many of the games and the opening ceremonies, and I was so impressed with the commitment of the volunteers. I mean, here it was Easter week and Easter weekend, Easter Monday, when people could have been off, and instead they were, speaking of volunteer week, volunteering their time to provide this opportunity for the kids who just loved it. And, sometimes it's the behind the scenes that get taken for granted because the kids have a wonderful tournament and there's lots of accolades and awards and championships and medals, but it's all because of the volunteers and the coaches and the parents. So I just want to acknowledge that and send out a huge thank you to everybody involved, because they're not just volunteering their time, they're volunteering their hearts too, because their hearts were in it all the way. And we're so lucky to have them. Also, we have just a reminder to the community that the summer employment applications for our summer day camp and park patrol positions are still available on the city's website. So the closing date has been extended to April the 19th for summer day camp positions, and the closing date for park patrol positions remain closing on April the 26th. And this is a great opportunity for young people if they're interested in a great summer job. Also, further to that, we have our summer day camp registration. And the registration for summer day camp will commence on Tuesday, May the 7th for Mount Pearl residents and Thursday, May the 9th for non-residents. This registration is online only and space will be limited. So camps will begin on July the 2nd and run for 8 weeks until August the 23rd. They run daily from Monday to Friday from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. with an early drop-off at 7:45 to 8:30 and a late pickup available from 4:30 to 5:30. And all information relating to the summer day camp registration is posted on our city website. And the last thing I want to bring up this evening, on Friday past, a number of us went to what would have been International Women's Day luncheon, but it was postponed due to weather. And this was hosted by the Persistence Theater Company, and it was in support of the Raise Her Up campaign to raise the first statue to a woman in St. John's. Now, there are 2 statues of women in the province, but none in the St. John's area. So, and what makes this one even more interesting is that this is the first statue that's actually designed by a woman. So it's by a woman, for a woman, and this is what the Women's Day luncheon supported. So it was a lovely afternoon. And of course, our own deputy mayor was the keynote speaker. So it was lovely. It was a lovely afternoon. And that's it for me, Your Worship. Thank you very much.
No, thank you very much. Over to you, Councillor Locke.
Thank you, Mayor. With respect to the statue, I just want to acknowledge that Mount Pearl has a statue of women. Not specific women, but we have the source out front of City Hall there. That's a beautiful piece of artwork. So yeah, I'm delighted to see it's a beautiful maquette they showed at this luncheon, and it will be a great addition to St. John's. I too, like Councillor Fry, have a few, not a couple, but a few items. And the first I want to mention is Newfoundland Power reached out to our city staff today, Mayor, and they have to replace the transformer that's leading into the Summit Centre and the Reed Centre building. And as a result, the Summit and the Reed Centre will be closed this Thursday morning. Necessary repairs, it's got to be done, but it will reopen at 2 p.m. And it's my understanding that we've sent out some social media notices right now, but given our friends at Rogers are telecasting this tonight, and we have our friend Chad here as well, that maybe we could get the notice out to our residents just to inform them. So again, this Thursday morning, the Reed and Summit Centres will be closed, but all programming will resume at 2 p.m. Councillor Antle spoke of all the capital projects updates and the work that's going to take place here in the next little while. But I just want to confirm here again that if a resident wants to get their driveway replaced and they come down to get a permit, that we will notify them if there is work planned for their street this season. So they then could potentially time their driveway replacement. Otherwise, if they put in a new driveway, because we've had this in the past, they put in a new driveway, and then we came and replaced the gutter, the curb, and then we had a 2 or 3 foot cut in their driveway. So is that still the case? Can I ask for confirmation from perhaps Director Antle, Mayor, if I could?
Please.
Thank you, Councillor Locke. We issue notices on the streets where construction is active. So if somebody applies on one of those streets, they'll be aware. If somebody is off one of those streets and it's upcoming construction, for example, in the following years, we wouldn't have notices out on that. We're trying to improve that to get more notices out for people that live on streets in upcoming years. So that is a point of note.
Thank you, Director. I know in past years and this is the benefit of applying for a permit to do your work. They come to the counter. Let's say I didn't receive the notice or I forgot about the notice and I come in and I want my driveway done. Will our staff on the counter say, just a heads up that this year your road is on schedule to be replaced. So you may want to consider, is that a communication that they will receive at our counter here at City Hall?
I'll clarify and make sure that happens. Because sometimes we share that information across with city staff. I'll make sure that is clarified. So anybody that applies, they'll be advised if there's work on that street.
Okay, thank you. Because I know we did that in the past and some residents were very pleased with that. So, if we can flag that when someone comes in for a particular street, we should be able to tell them, just an FYI. Last point for me is speaking with volunteerism. I was at Mount Pearl Senior High last week on some other city business. And I met a former colleague up there. And I had to bring it up here at council again because we're being televised. But the art teacher at our school, Miss Renee Pike, she was so excited and she said, have you seen our thrift store? And I said, no, I didn't know you had a thrift store. So one of the classrooms has been converted to a thrift store. So she showed me the thrift store and they had clothes racks, I think, that were donated from one of the clothing stores. And it was just absolutely filled with all this clothing. And memory serves me, I think a student can go in there and choose up to three items per day. And there's absolutely no charge. And it's run again by student volunteers, by teacher volunteers. And it's getting very well utilized, it was so heartwarming to see. But again, in the spirit of Volunteer Week upcoming, this would not happen. It's not a job requirement. It's not a course requirement, but the teachers and the students thinking outside themselves developed this thrift store in the school, which I just think needs to be celebrated. So I just wanted to mention it here today. And that's it for me, Mayor. I thank you.
Thank you. Over to you, Councillor Antle.
Thank you, Your Worship. I only have a couple of things also. And the first one is we just went over our winter season. Well, now we're into construction season. And we all love construction season. And one of the comments I was talking to Director Antle, and I said, what would be important to talk about? He talked about our construction season. It's a necessary evil. Even though we have to do it and it disrupts your lives and people don't like it too much, but we apologize for it, but we have to get it done. Everybody wants, water and sewer and smooth roads. But, as you're going through these construction zones, safety is key. Slow down. You got to pay attention. The workers that's their work site. That's their office. We have to pay attention. Take your time, and so they get to go home safely at the end of the day. My second one for me is, and it's a great one, it's my great nephew, Isaiah Press. His mother used to be a city clerk here in Mount Pearl. He's in grade 2 at St. Peter's, and most people play hockey or different other sports. Well, Isaiah is a chess player, right? And he's a good chess player. He placed second in the grade 2 division in the Canadian Progress Championships here in Newfoundland and Labrador. So it's fabulous. And that was done on March 23rd. He played 4 games and he was a 4-1 record. And just a quick note, he's the grandson. I guess we all know Rouse and Doug Price. Rouse comes in here sometimes with our crime. and Bonnie and Gary Grant, all long-term residents of Mount Pearl. I understand that he learned how to play his chess from Grampy Doug. So Grampy Doug, if anybody has a chance, Grampy Doug will teach us all how to play chess. So congratulations, Isaiah. It's a job well done. All right, I'm looking forward to see other things to come. And the third thing, just because we're televised, and I thought I'd talk about it very, very quickly, I'm sorry, is that we're walking the trails. Please pick up after your dogs. It's terrible. If you walk the trail now, it's sometimes it's like a war zone down there. It's so bad. Now we supply the bags. The bags are easy. We have garbage bins on our trails. I talk about it constantly, but for some reason, people still believe that their animals can use the trail wherever. And please pick up after your dogs. And that's everything for me, Your Worship. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Over to Councillor Rice.
Thank you, Worship. I think most of the councillors are after attending most of the events that we talked about, the hockey and volunteering and you know, it all I guess goes together. So I just want to say, I think, you know, where I'm retired now, I think I got more opportunities to attend all the events, but I think I went to most of the hockey games or tried to attend most of the Mount Pearl Blaze. We're trying to support our local teams, and we had the I guess the privilege of going up to the kickoff for the U11 and the U13 at both of those events. And Councillor Farr is so right when she says about our volunteers are we certainly appreciate them, and we all know what it's like to volunteer. Run those tournaments takes a lot of commitment and volunteering, and you know, they don't get paid. They just take their time in their Easter week that they're off. But I just want to say that most of the provincial tournaments are run, I guess, during the same week, and they were all of them were over on this end of the province this year. So I went up to see my nephew. Actually, he played U18. He's with Queen E, and they played against Mount Pearl actually in the semifinals. So and they had to win in order to advance, and it was 1-1 after the full game. So Mount Pearl played in the finals in that, and they came. I think they ended up with a silver medal. But I just want to add also that. You know, it's so important for you know, for the volunteers in the city of Mount Pearl, because that's what really makes such a special place here in the city. And I just want to say thank you to people that do volunteer their time. The second one I want to say is we had some sad news about one of our former employees, and I know that where I'm only new to council, but I know that the mayor, and I'm sure the Councillor Locke has worked with Eric Arsenault. And he passed away at the age of 71. He worked as, he started with the city in 2007 as the mechanical foreperson with the city, and became the superintendent of the public works in 2009, and he retired in 2016. Prior to joining the city, Eric had a multitude of work experiences in Canada and even in the Bahamas as a heavy equipment mechanic. And so in trucking and sales services, then he managed to he then had a management position with the trucking department, heavy equipment and shipping business, as well as being a commercial driver, instructor, and a tour operator. Eric prided himself as on his work ethic and loved the challenge. He spoke his mind, and he was a sharp-witted individual with a great sense of humor. He will be missed within the city, and now he will be doubly missed by his colleagues, friends. So sincere condolences extended to Eric's wife, Doris, and their family. On behalf of myself, I guess, and all council here at the city. And one last small item for me is tomorrow is our Mayor's Outlook. So on our city website, it's posted there. We're certainly looking forward to some shared information tomorrow at the Mayor's Outlook, as with a wave of opportunities is emerging in the industry sector and support for residential growth here in the city. So we're looking forward to the message tomorrow from the mayor and the outlook tomorrow. And I'm happy to attend that tomorrow. Looking forward to it. Thank you, Worship.
Thank you. Yes, I'm looking forward to too. It seems to be this time of the year. I know Mayor Farwell, I think, in Gander is doing, I think he's doing his either today or tomorrow. So the chambers of commerce or the boards of trade are very active in our communities, and you know, primarily represent our business community, but at the same time, it's important that we reach out to all of our residents and the businesses that we host here in the city of Mount Pearl. For the finale, over to you, Councillor Lane.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a couple of things for me. I think a lot's already been said by my colleagues here. Myself, Councillor Fry, Councillor Angela, and Councillor Rice, we competed in the Ronald McDonald House bowling tournament, Spare Some Love, on March 24th. And I said to Isabel on the way to bowling, I said, I suck at bowling. Chelsea said, nobody sucks at bowling. I said, I'm going to show you that that is possible, Isabel. And I think I really proved at the tournament that you truly can suck at bowling. I think I might have won the record for most gutter balls in the tournament, but it was a lot of fun, and it was for a good cause. So that's the main thing. And I was also happy to attend last night. The Lions Club had a dessert and silent auction with proceeds going to the Marconi Sea Cadets. So it was a great event. I was more than happy to indulge in some of the delicious desserts that were provided by the families of the Marconi Sea Cadets themselves. And Alex Taylor was also there performing, and he's truly an example of volunteerism in our city because he's only I think a grade 10 student. And Alex is constantly volunteering. So he was there last night volunteering and performing as well. And it was a great time. So thank you to all of our volunteers for all you do, your continued work, and all you contribute to make Mount Pearl the most wonderful place to live. And that's it for me this evening. Thank you very much.
No, thank you. And you would have upped your game. I wasn't there. And I remember the last time we played together, Councillor Lane, it was trivia. So if the word suck comes to mind, that was a real horrible night, right? But anyway, we digress, and we'll probably practice as much trivia as we do bowling between now and then. On a serious note, yeah, I'm going to finish with a little shout out to Doris, the Arsenault family, Doris in particular, and their family. Eric was with the city, came here in 2009, I think the year that I got elected, and worked in public works. So you look back at some of the fine reputation the city's developed from a public works point of view, and it's just not the loader, it's just not the driver, but it's quite often all the people that work in public works. And Eric Arsenault, certainly in that respect internally, was a city builder. So very sad to see him pass away, and our condolences to all of his family. And on that note, we'll close the meeting. On motion of Councillor Locke, thank you, and second by Councillor Fry, we are adjourned. Good night, everybody.